Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1215 of our daily content grind, and we have some bad news that we have to talk about. We know what happened today. It is announced that Transformers Reactivate has officially been canceled, to the surprise of probably nobody out there. I have made mention of it several times over the last few weeks that the fact that there was no news whatsoever for the course of over a year was highly concerning. We were holding on hope, though. We held out hope, and unfortunately, this is just the way it's going. So we're going to take today to look back at everything we know of this game's history and what actually became of it. Because, yeah, I think a lot of people are looking forward to this for a long time, and to have it turn out this way is incredibly disappointing, and we'll get into that as we go. But for now, we'll just kind of take a look at the history of this game, now that there is a definitive beginning and end to it. And that is going to start with this blurb of text, which I wish was better, but unfortunately the official PDF that I was trying to pull up is no longer online. I will read the pertinent parts to you, as I realize it is probably very small on your screen, especially if you are currently watching on a phone. So this is from Leiyu Technologies Annual Report 2017. These are the people, the parent company that got the Transformers license after it expired with Activision. Within the year, the company obtained the license of Transformers and Civilization from Hasbro Inc. and Hasbro International, collectively Hasbro, and Take-Two International, respectively, for the development of new game products. The group believes that such license grants reflect the recognition of the group's game development and publishing capability from notable IP owners, as popular IP helps developers create market-appealing titles when combined market fluff. Let's see. So originally, they were developing something called Transformers Online, and then later on, an online game being developed by Certain Affinity with license granted by Hasbro. The studio is also developing an original Transformers title. Is the largest project at Certain Affinity right now. The studio's biggest to date. It's still very much under wraps, however, locked up in a vault protected by burly Autobots. Both the Transformers game and Last Expedition have been designed from the ground up to be games as a service, to be games that become people's hobbies that they play day in and day out for months and years. We are continually improving and enhancing. So from the beginning, this was designed as a live service game, and we know how live service game models have been going in recent years. If you aren't well established or doing something really good, you are going to struggle. We've seen that happen a lot. Hello, Suicide Squad. How you doing? Oh, you're not doing well. So we kind of knew what we were going to expect with this, and with the property that we had, we are kind of expecting something around like Warframe, Overwatch, that kind of realm of like how this game was going to be. And for the most part, that's kind of what we expected and kind of what we were going to get. Now, later on, we would find out that the license would eventually be, the video game would eventually be renamed and titled Transformers Impact, before eventually becoming Transformers Rise. And it got so far in the development as Transformers Rise that it actually did appear on the box for the toys. Now, keep in mind, the development cycle for these things is 2 years. These were produced around 2018, and then not entirely sure when these would have been like prepped and ready to go, but this is a look at what it was supposed to be. But unfortunately, we never really saw anything after that initial announcement, which really isn't an announcement. It's an inclusion in like a quarterly report, like a year-end report type thing. We didn't hear a thing. It was just completely dead. Until in 2022, this thing showed up at the Game Awards. And this took everyone by surprise. I remember watching the reactions that this had to from like reactors and like pundits for your video game news, and no one could believe that this trailer that was looking like some incredibly intense like alien invasion storyline was Transformers. everyone seemed really shocked by it and by how serious the game looked, because this is not what we were used to out of Transformers. So this was buzzing. This is also the first time we found out that development had moved over to Splash Damage, and when we found out the real name and the final name of the product, Transformers Reactivate. And this was promised to be pretty good. Like, they actually had like a direction and an intent behind this. The gravest threat to humanity has arrived, and it's already won. Earth is no longer ours; it belongs to them. All we have left is our hope for the Autobots as we salvage them from the rubble left behind. This is already fascinating to me. This is already fascinating because this is, again, what we desperately kind of need in Transformers, is stories we have not told. Here's a story that begins with the Transformers, Autobot and Decepticon alike, losing and being on the losing end of this war, to the point where, like, the gameplay would have seen them teaming up to go up against this threat, which we knew as Legion, which really sounded like Quintessons, but I don't think was ever officially called Quintessons. Point being, this sounded like they actually had a decent direction, and it sounded like it was going to tell a different story than Transformer fans are used to, which I was really looking forward to. And the game looked good. This is not what I normally expect out of a Transformer game. You know, honestly, Transformer games, like, it's very rare when real effort is put into them. It's the kind of kid-friendly license that gets the shovelware games all the time, you know. Mediocre platformers, mediocre kart racers, you know, this like typical like like shovelware schlock, right? But that said, this looked serious. This looked like they were really putting their best foot forward and trying to do something, you know, as AAA level as they possibly could get away with. I was looking forward to this a lot. 2023 was a time where we just kind of kept speculating on this game. So over and over, they did mention events that they would be attending, and they would talk about Transformers Reactivate. You know, like their official statement here for like the Unreal Fest 2023 was to actually mentioned, like, we recently unveiled Transformers Reactivate, Project Asteroid in partnership with leaders, security, War Dogs, etc., etc. These are three of the most ambitious projects we've ever made. The brilliant people across both Splash Damage and Bulkhead have been wowing us every day. Why did the studio name Bulkhead not do Transformers Reactivate? Why did it get handed down to Splash Damage instead? The point being, every time they have some appearance at a convention, a conference, what have you, they would bring up Transformers Reactivate as if holding up like the golden goose that they caught. Just to kind of like point out, hey, look, we have this huge IP that we are developing right now. But we just kind of waited and waited for something official to be dropped, and nothing really happened all year. Fortunately, what did happen is a lot of leaks from a lot of people who somehow got their hands on early development material, and I wish this stuff was easier to track, because now it has all been copied and reposted so many times. I can't find like the original sources for a lot of this anymore. So I'm just going to thank the community as a whole for Transformers Reactivate, who have not only posted whatever material you could get your hands on, but also found, just like kept it going by just posting, reposting. For 2023, the only thing that was really causing any buzz were these people who happened to have early builds of the game and had inside looks at everything. You know, we got to see like the character models, you know, which were really, really good. You know, like here's a really nice take on Starscream. You know, it's a little, you know, it's a little bit roughed up. It's a little, it's a little bit modernized. It's really, really good. You know, this was a good take on the character. And then weird things. We started finding out things that really made this stand out and make us look forward to it more. Like Power Glide was in there. When's the last time you ever heard anyone trying to use Power Glide? Like, I don't even know if IDW tried to use Power Glide. He's just one of those Transformer characters that just kind of sits around and just waits for a toy every 5 to 10 years. So that alone just had us talking like they're pulling out obscure characters. And when we found out like the main roster they were working on, this got even better. Like, okay, Optimus, Bumblebee, Ratchet, Ironhide, Windblade, Powerglide, Hot Rod, Sunstreaker. Hey, Sunstreaker and Bumblebee coexisting is rare. On top of that, they were developing for Grimlock, RC, Cliffjumper, Illegal One, and Lifeline, the green repaint of RC. On the Decepticon side, obviously we have Megatron, Starscream, Soundwave, and Shockwave. Very obvious there. Then we have Slipstream. Always great to see Slipstream around. Knockout. Love seeing Knockout escape Transformers Prime. It's very hard to see. He does not have much of a character model in this shot. If he's even remotely close to how Bumblebee looks, can I please get a retool? Can I please get retools of those toys? Those toys were good. Toys were good. They're also developing on Dive Bomb, a Predacon, Frenzy, color not listed, and Horrible. Horrible was going to be in the game. Really? Now, if I look back and forth, I can start to see the parallels. Okay, there's 3 girls on the Autobot side, so that's where Slipstream gets in. We do have like a Beast on one side and Grimlock, so Horrible gets in on the other. Yeah, it's just fun to go through. Like this was looking so good. They even had like informed speculation on what voice actors we would see, which would be like John Bailey and Steve Bloom returning to roles that they are familiar in. Robbie Damon with Bumblebee. Nothing official or confirmed, but just fun to know about and fun to think about. So, yeah, that's about all we got in the entirety of the year is just leaks. And then until November. In November, Hasbro suddenly dropped this on us. Keep in mind, to this point, we hadn't really seen the packaging for Transformers Rise, so this was our first look and proof that, hey, things are actually happening with Reactivate. We're getting the toys. And they looked really good. And having played with them and reviewed them, they are really, really good toys. This was very exciting. And when people got them in hand, things immediately seemed off. Number one, these were far larger. Only not far larger, but they were noticeably larger than Transformers that were currently being released. The detail, paint level, etc., and the complexity of the transformation. Also, the unusual price point. These were 2-packed as a Voyager and a Deluxe, and you would think that'd be a $60, $35, $25. No, they were like $63 each. Curious. The answer was when we got them in hand and actually saw the copyright date of 2020, which was, I think, the first time that the fandom at large started realizing just how long this game was in development for, and gave us our first idea that this was absolutely a problematic game to be produced. Keep in mind, these toys take 2 years of development, which meant these designs were finalized in 2018. And here we are at this point in 2023, just now finding this out. So 7 years on, these toys finally got released after their original concepting. That's a long time. That's a long time to sit on a release. And at the time, we kind of looked at this as like hopeful because, hey, look, the merch is coming out. The toys for the game are coming out. In hindsight, it's Hasbro getting what they can out of the game. At this point, the game was probably already in trouble development-wise. And when you're Hasbro, you probably looked at this and went, we should probably get these toys out while the game is still being talked about, rather than sit and wait any longer. Also, if these toys were larger and more expensive to produce than standard toys at the time, you'd want to get them out before they're even more expensive to make. So, we sat and waited. And we wouldn't have to wait long for an update. About a month later, we finally got an update from Splash Damage about having no updates. The only thing we really found out was that over the course of the last year, they shifted development of the game to Unreal Engine 5. Now understand, that is a huge thing. To change the core engine of the game means a lot of things will have to be reworked. While a lot is still going to play out basically the same, going to a new engine means making sure all the code still works, having to redo a lot of things from the ground up, and with game design, if you change one thing in the code, it could chain affect a whole bunch of other things that also now have to be changed. It's not a simple task, and it's not a simple just upgrade to make the game shinier. This was a huge thing to be announcing when we were already waiting for some kind of official announcement and update. But yeah, we were basically being prepped for, hey, we didn't have updates in 2023, but we have plenty of updates coming in 2024. So once again, we waited. And once again, leakers were the only thing that were really coming through for us. We actually got gameplay of Transformers Rise, and the game actually looked pretty good. It was doing things that I wanted Transformers games to do. Use the vehicle mode for something other than a sprint button. You know, the fights looked fun. Like, the environments looked good. You know, they looked, you know, we had this mix of, like, like Earth terrain that's been destroyed and these, like, these alien structures that have been built around the cities. Like, it looked really, really good. And it looked like it played well, too. You know, obviously rough around the edges. It was still being developed, but it looked like something that I would come home from work and sink my spare time into. You know, the rare times I have spare time. Point being, it looked like it was going somewhere. It looked like it was being well developed. Last month, we got another update, and this one was not an intentional one. Keep in mind, throughout the entirety of 2024, we held on to that promise from that screenshot saying, yeah, we are going to have updates in 2024, and then nothing happened. All year. And the only thing we found out, the only update that happened, was the Instagram page being deactivated. This was concerning, to say the least. Their other socials swore that this was some kind of error and that it was being replaced and fixed as fast as possible. We know that wasn't the case. Odds are they just pulled the plug on that social account a little bit earlier than they were originally planning to. Today, as of this date, January 8th, 2025, the studio announced that the game was officially canceled. Today we have some very difficult news to share. The decision has been made to end development on Transformers Reactivate. This means we will be scaling down to refocus our efforts on other projects. Unfortunately, despite every effort, a number of roles across the studio are now potentially at risk of redundancy. This decision did not come lightly, and it is a difficult time for the studio and our people. We want to take a moment to thank the team who worked on Transformers for their dedication and passion. Hasbro was an incredible and supportive partner throughout, and we hope to work with them again. To the many fans, your excitement and support helped keep us going. While not being able to see the game through to release is painful, having to say goodbye to friends and colleagues hurts even more. We're now focused on doing everything we can to support them through this tough period, just as we are committed to caring for those who will stay with us as we build a stronger splash damage for the future. Thanks for your compassion and understanding. This came to no surprise to anybody. You don't go so long without an update, you know, unless you are Nintendo. Hello, Metroid Prime. Or unless there is major problems with the development. And I'm sure someday, once NDAs are out of the way, and, you know, especially from former workers who will be privy to talk about the game, I'm sure a lot's going to come out about what exactly went on behind the scenes, and I'm eager to find that out. My biggest takeaway from this is just the fact that, like, a lot of people put a lot of passion into this game. It's clear that actual fans were interested in working on it, and that they were actually putting a lot of effort in, and to see it just go to waste is heartbreaking. And the fact that a lot of them aren't going to have jobs after this is also just terrible. You know, game development kind of sucks. Last year was a terrible year for layoffs and redundancies. It's a great way of celebrating the people who dedicated so much of themselves to something you're not even going to see hit the light of day. One thing I do want to state is that one of the former workers on this game did state that Transformers Reactivate failing to materialize has nothing to do with Hasbro. I know there's a lot of grief on Hasbro right now because of them announcing that they were going to fund any movies going forward, but that doesn't mean there's no movies coming out. It just means Hasbro's not helping with the money. And that's not the case here with the games. Hasbro was apparently according to what we've seen, Hasbro's a very supportive partner, and they wanted the game to come out too. Obviously, they wanted the game to come out. That's how they get to merchandise it. That's how they make money off of it. So they were trying. And Hasbro was not the reason for the cancellation, so don't anyone get that crossed. This is literally just how the game industry works sometimes. They try, and sometimes just the development it's not the right studio, it's not enough people, or, what have you. There's reasons this happens a lot. It's just unfortunate it happened to Reactivate. And right now, that's the entire story. From the original announcement of acquiring the license in 2017, all the way to today in 2025, where we have to officially say goodbye to what could have been a fantastic Transformers game. I'm still waiting for this franchise to get a solid, really, really good game. Devastation was good, but it was niche because it was G1. We've had good games like War and Fall of Cybertron, but nothing that you would call like AAA level, nothing that stayed around for years on end. It's a fantastic franchise. I just feel like this is the one area of entertainment it has completely failed to materialize in, and I'm not entirely sure why. I was really hoping this would be it. I was hoping this would finally crack the code, but we're still waiting. And at this point, I don't know how much longer we're going to be waiting. It's a sad day. It is a sad day for us who had so much hope for something that is ultimately going to produce 4 toys. And that's about it. So, that's the end of Transformers Reactivate. The end of the story. So let me know in the comments below if you were looking forward to this game or not. I don't know. There's nothing really more to say about it here. It's upsetting. It's disappointing. And my thoughts right now are with the developers who are going to get downsized for doing their jobs. Love this industry. So that's going to do it for me today. Thank you everyone for watching. I will see you next time.
You've been waiting a long time, haven't you? But the wait's almost over. You're about to meet the brightest star in the universe. We're going to make an impact.